Greetings, BookTube. Have some tea. Prop your dogs up. Okay, this is the first book I read tag, and this is an original tag by Ryan over at Madman Reads and Rocks. Thank you, Ryan, for tagging me. And this is pretty much a tag about, the first book you ever read, or the first book you remember reading, your experience with it, and so forth. You can kind of play around with this tag. I mean, I don't remember the first book that I read, but I remember the first series that I really got into, Beyond the Nursery Rhymes and stuff like that. And it was books by Jim Kajilagard. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation, but that's what me and my brothers always called it. So. Big Red being one. Some of my favorites that he had written were Fire Hunter, Desert Dog. I can't remember all of them. He was a pretty prolific writer. This one I think was published in '45. Hang on a second. Had illustrations in it. Illustrated by Shannon Sternwise. Dang it. But this book's been in my family a long time, and here's another one of the strange things I came across. Like I've explained before, I have books in boxes. I have books that I have no idea where they came from. When you collect books for ever how many years that I've been collecting books, the ones I've been able to hold on to, some of them I've had for 30 freaking years, but this book has been in my family since the 60s or early 70s. And here's the strange thing, I didn't even know this was in here. It says bookmarker, and it belonged to my father, who is still alive and lives in Florida. So I didn't even know that was in there. I don't think anybody knew that was in here, but my dad doesn't even know it was in there. So onto these books. They were just great books, for a kid. And this book here is about an Irish setter and the boy that owns it, their relationship. Him and his family, they're trappers and hunters, and there's a bear that's pretty much molesting their trap line, and they have to do something about it. So the dog and the boy, you have their relationship. Then you have, the bear, which is obviously the bad guy. And some people, if you don't live out, you don't understand that, what a bear is capable of. I'm kind of getting off the subject here, but this is where this book was. Back when I was growing up around here, we didn't have bears. But if you go out into nature, like we often did, there are certain things you have to be aware of. Snakes, what have you. Now we have coyotes, we have mountain lions, we have bears. In fact, several years ago, there were black bear tracks 6 foot off the corner of the house out here. So, growing up the way I did, I really identified with the characters in the books, and like Fire Hunter was it was set in prehistory, and it was about a cave dweller who basically discovered him and his woman got banished from the tribe, and he discovered first of all how to make an atlatl, which is a spear thrower, and then he developed the bow, and eventually his people come around, and you know, I often wonder if this is where the person that did Quest for Fire got their idea. I don't know if I ever saw that in the credits, but it's a great series of books. A lot of times, Kajilagard, he would tell stuff from the animal's point of view, anthropomorphized. You know, I love the characters, and you know, that really was, you know, I think one of the first authors that I actually followed, you know, so I started reading everything he is. And it was when I was in grade school, primary. And it, you know, it kind of affects, well, here's the thing too. Let me just put this in here. As a writer, you know, like I said, or I've said in a previous video, I was 11 years old when I was like, I'd kind of like to be a writer one day. So when you're reading, you're trying to figure out, like, how's this trick done? How do you get inside a character's mind and make decisions that character would make? So that was kind of, you know, you start getting those fundamentals down, and you get your base as a writer, even as a child. And of course, you know, I didn't realize it, but so that's it. The first book I ever read, Tag. Thank you, Ryan, for tagging me and for creating that, and I encourage everyone out there to do this. I don't know who's done it by now, but it's a great tag. I mean, I'd like to, I'd be interested to see what particular authors or books influence some other booktubers out there. So, cheers.